Catman, your service bringing you some Destiny multiplayer PvP gameplay, and this is going to be the first video of Destiny on my channel for me, which is actually pretty exciting because probably I'm going to play this game a lot over the next couple months, especially because there's not really that many great games that are, new and still fresh on the market today that are FPS genre and generally games that you can play for hundreds and hundreds of hours and just sink your teeth into, basically, except for, of course, StarCraft, Dota, Call of Duty, and stuff like that. And I wanted to do something new on this channel, and this is going to help me do that because it's a new game. A lot of people are talking about it right now, and I wanted to give it a few days before I made a first impressions video like this, because I didn't want to just come out and say, this is what I think about it, the game's crap, or the game's fantastic, or anything like that. I wanted to wait a little bit, let the kind of hype die down a little bit, and then give my honest opinion on what I thought about it. And a lot of people are going to tell you that this game is the best game ever and it's fantastic and stuff like that. And apparently there are a fair amount of people who are actually giving it pretty bad reviews. I think Metacritic had this issue where a lot of people were giving it like zeros and some people were giving it like tens and stuff, so that just messed things up. So I don't really know a lot about that situation, but I can assure you that neither of them are really correct. So this game, if I was to, I'm gonna talk about solely multiplayer today because that really affects people the most. I'm assuming, instead of just mainly the campaign and stuff, because campaign everyone plays and it's very like linearized. So with the multiplayer, I think it's a great multiplayer game. I think there's a lot of well-designed elements to it. It's very unique as a multiplayer game. I know a lot of people will say, it's basically Halo 2.0, and well, technically that's not right. There is a Halo 2 that's out, but you guys can see what I mean. It's very Halo-centric, and I mean, yeah, you can go on here and be like, oh my god, this is the assault rifle, this is the battle rifle, this is the DMR, oh my god, 343, sue Bungie. And actually, I'm pretty sure they have a pretty close relationship with each other, so it's not, none of that's gonna happen. But yeah, there are general ties to Halo, but I do think that it is it is different from Halo. It is, a very unique game in its own aspect, even though it does take out those elements from Halo. Anyway, I do like the multiplayer designing a fair amount to the great extent. I like how there's different classes of weapons, like you have, the standard primary guns, the heavy weapons, the special weapon. Each has their own way of that you have to manage each own class, because the auto weapons, mainly the primary weapons, they have the most ammo, and the special weapons have a fair amount of ammo, but you can run out of it if you don't be careful. And heavy weapons have almost like very little ammo, and you have to pick those up and stuff like that. So I like that aspect where you have to kind of have that medic game in there in the multiplayer, so that's nice. I like how the gameplay is fairly balanced for the most part. I mean, there are some powerful weapons and there are some guns that just suck in this game. Like the hand cannon just sucks in this game. Do not use the hand cannon. People have told me that the higher tier hand cannons, like the legendary ones, are pretty good, and I've yet to use them, but honestly, I would much rather prefer an auto rifle and a scout rifle in this game. I feel like those two are the best primary weapons in this game, because auto rifle is great for close quarters, scout rifle is great for long distance, and both have great damage, both have great maneuverability, easeability to use, both great handling, great recoil, stuff like that. So I feel like this game does a great job of keeping its roots as an FPS game, while still having that RPG element of, hey, there's a lot of different classes of weapons that you can play, a lot of different styles and play styles and stuff like that. So that's nice. And the three-tiered class gameplay, that all works very well indeed, when you have stuff like the subclasses that are going into there, and then the what's it called, the supercharge, which goes into, and that works fairly decently within each class. There's not like one specific supercharge or something like that just dominates everyone. I mean, yeah, they're all very good, and there are some that are better than others in certain situations, but honestly, all of them are very good, and I could use all of them decently at least. So that brings me to the thing that I'm not very fond of in this game, and one of the big things that I'm very not fond of in this game is the sort of balancing of the game. There are it's good for the most part, but there are clearly some weapons, some guns, some attachments and stuff like that just don't work, that just don't play like they should, that just play either overpowered or underpowered and stuff like that. like the supercharge. If you come across a guy who's using the supercharge on, let's say, like the warlock, I don't know the name of the subclass, but it's the default warlock supercharge where you throw this huge bomb at them and they all explode. Let's say you have 6 people there and you have one guy with that supercharge. I'm betting that the guy with a supercharge will destroy those 6 people come, you know, if they are relatively close to each other. Same with the Titan class. The Titan class, if you're up against the Titan basic supercharge where he like smashes the ground and he creates this huge like Hulk smash thing on the ground, then you're dead too instantly. And those I'm not very fond of. I see why they're there. Like I see why Bungie wanted to make this game sort of like feel like, oh, you get this boss stuff, or like it's almost like not really a kill streak because everyone gets it, but it does feel like a rare opportunity that you get it, and I guess that's nice. But I just don't feel like it's very competitive for the game. And you know, if let's say this game does go into competitive, I feel like supercharges are going to be one of the biggest things that are taken out immediately, because some of them are just not fair in a one-on-one gunfight, and it just doesn't feel competitive. It feels very one-sided, and that's not that great for a multiplayer game that's priding itself on having great competitive multiplayer. And in addition, the what's it called? The netcode. Netcode, oh my god, the netcode. Bungie went to the school of Battlefield netcodes in designing the netcode for this game. It's so bad. I mean, it's nowhere near as bad as Battlefield 4's. I think Battlefield 4 has the worst netcode out of any game ever existed, pretty much. But even then, it does take those cues. Like, you'll be hitting a guy with all your bullets, and 5 seconds later, then you'll get those hits or something like that. Or you may, like, the connection, it's fairly decent, but there are times where it just fails on you, and it just doesn't feel right at all. I've had entire games where none of my shots hit, and that's the biggest problem with the netcode in this game, is the hit registration. But there are some other stuff that doesn't feel right. Like, you might turn a corner and you get corner kills where you're clearly behind the corner, but the guy still gets you because of that lag that goes in there and stuff like that. And honestly, I feel like that should have been addressed after the beta released. I thought it was one of the things that a Bungie would address. Like, after the beta release, they would have heard the feedback on the netcode and would have addressed it by the time the game came out. And I have to say, it is better than what the beta was, but it's still nowhere near as good as it should be. So, if you're trying to get into this game and you're expecting that everything's going to be perfect for you, as I humiliatingly feel myself there, then I have some bad news for you. In addition, if you're expecting this game to be the new Call of Duty, the new Dota, the new StarCraft, the game that dominates MLG, I have more bad news for you, because I do not think that this game is very competitive. I think it's competitive to a very certain extent, but I do not think it's going to be the dominant MLG FPS game that I think Halo and Call of Duty and games like those are. Because there's a lot of things that work against competitive. Like, this game feels casual to play. It doesn't feel like there's no ranking system, there's no leaderboards, there's no stat trackers. It's just basically you hop into a multiplayer game and you just play. So it's casual in that respect. In addition, there's no private matches, there's no rule switching or, you know, way to adjust rules. There's no LAN party that you can really do. It's all basically a standard, very general, basic multiplayer experience, which the experience isn't bad, but if you're trying to be competitive with it, I do not see how you could do it very well. That being said, it is a very competitive game in some aspects, because you do have that sort of Bungie feel of the way they handle things, like the way you have longer kill times, which increase the skill gap and stuff, like you have to manage that meta game that I talked about earlier, and the stuff that you have to manage about which gun is better for this situation, which gun is not. The fact that the mechanics of the game are well tuned, so I like that aspect of it very much. But I do not see very much competitive potential for the game, and that's just my first impressions. Who knows, maybe within a couple months this could be the game that dominates MLG Anaheim, that dominates all those big, like MLG Dallas and all those like big events, and this is like, you know, the new game. It would be a stretch for me to see that, and I would sort of be like, how are they really doing this? But if it was that new game, I guess I would agree with it. So that's that. And generally, if I had to rate this game, it would be a great rating. I would probably say buy it on full price. Buy for full price. Do not get the special edition of this game if you're mainly interested for multiplayers. I don't feel like there's a huge competitive support, and you know, some of the maps also do. This is a slight. I'm nitpicking here. I really am, but some of the maps just don't feel that great. Like there's some power positions, and the way the verticality is set, it just makes it a little bit unbalanced and a little bit chaotic at times too. Yeah, but I guess sort of that appeal is why people like it. So that's my opinion on there. But still, it is a good game. I would definitely pick it up, if especially because there's not too many great games that are out right now. I mean, mainly a lot of people are just waiting for the new games in November to come out. So if you're waiting on that and you're kind of like bored on what to do and what to play right now, this would be a fantastic game for you to pick up. And if this game came out later in the year, like November, December time, where you know Call of Duty comes out, where Assassin's Creed and the Halo collection and all those games come out, I would not see it be as successful as it is right now. So that's that's a very good business decision that they did there. So that's that, and that's basically the gameplay I have. And there's definitely more. I did not cover everything in the game because there is a lot of stuff to go into about the multiplayer, but I did do the general aspects, the basic concepts and stuff like that. So anyway, that is my opinion on that's my first impressions on the multiplayer experience. If you guys enjoyed, please stick around and watch some of my next Bungie and Destiny and gameplay videos, because honestly, I would appreciate it hella much. So see you guys later. Bye.